Hi, I'm Ali Wallace. I'm the founder of DNA Recruit, and this is the DNA Download. So, being a leader within the agency world is hard. When you get it right, though, there's no better environment to thrive in. But it takes resilience and deep understanding of how you continuously adapt and react. That's why we created this podcast to help agency leaders share their experiences, their advice, their tips for others, so we can accelerate your agency's growth. And I'm really very excited actually to have Sean Anderson here. He is the owner and founder of Hoxo Media, one of the world's leading marketing agencies, predominantly in the recruitment space. We've known each other for some time, and I'm very much looking forward to having him on the DNA Download. Sean, just from the perspective of everybody, I'd love it if you could just give me a quick intro about your background.
No problem. Cheers, Ali. Appreciate you having me on, mate. And yes, we have known each other for a while. It's been probably a couple of years ago we started talking, and then we started working together in the summer, didn't we? But I'm Sean Anderson, the CEO and founder of Hoxo Media. We are a digital marketing agency that we do exclusively operate within the recruitment agency market. So we help both recruiters individually build personal brands, and we help agencies build brands that win business. So we launch podcasts, we launch events, we do all sorts of digital marketing tactics that effectively help recruiters win business through B2B channels. I've been working in this space for years, and before that, I was a recruiter just like you, Ali.
Nice, yeah, great place to start, hey. Well, it's funny actually because I've done it the other way. Obviously, I started out in marketing and then moved into recruitment. So what I'd love to just kick off really is just how you got into digital marketing. How did you get into the digital marketing industry?
So how did I get into it? So good question. And yes, we do have the opposite background from each other. I was a recruiter for just under 7 years. Started my career. I was a school teacher originally. Randomly was a PE teacher. Went to Australia. Got into recruitment out there because my qualification in recruitment wasn't valid. Sorry, my qualification in teaching wasn't valid in Australia. And then I came back to London or moved to London in 2012, and I did really well in recruitment. I was doing senior stuff into the insurance market, and honestly, like I was setting up a recruitment company. Hoxo was a recruitment company. I had the CRM, I had the plans, I had everything done. But back in 2016, if you remember, LinkedIn wasn't like it is now. LinkedIn was just a place for written content, blogs, articles. And I was pretty obsessed with how recruiters, how my own team could get hold of people and kind of do more business without just picking up the phone. Because you know as well as I, Ali, like, you know, it's a repetitive job at times, and it's there's thousands of recruiters trying to call your clients all the time. So I was like, how could I do it better? And also when I was leaving my business, I have a non-compete clause for 6 months. So again, I wasn't allowed to call any of my customers for the first 6 months. So I had this brainwave that if I built a digital marketing funnel, which had video content at the top end, some written content, I could kind of engage my audience before whilst I was in covenant, so that when I came out, I could pick up the phone and everyone would know what I was up to and blah, blah, blah. And I had this brainwave, and literally no one I went and have a look if any other recruiters were doing it. And at the time, I couldn't find anyone like building a personal brand in recruitment.
So you were right at the head of the front of the curve, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was like, but it was just honestly like my own desire. I just wanted it as a customer. So I went to try and find a marketing agency. Your listeners might be like, we could do that. But at the time, I reached out and I couldn't find any agency that was in the price bracket I had, was understood recruitment, and was thinking about the same sort of things that I was interested in. So I found someone who I knew, who came and worked with me for a bit, and he was just going to do marketing for me. But what I found was, whilst I told other recruitment owners that I was connected to about my journey and my plan, they wanted a piece of it. So they were like, we'd love to do that. So I was like, maybe we could launch a marketing agency, but I've never worked in marketing in my life. So we took the bullet, we bit the bullet, and started 4 years ago, exactly like beginning of March, end of February, we launched Hoxo Media. And I'd never done a day in marketing in my life. I never produced a piece of content in my life up until the point where when I started a business.
And you'd never been a founder, right? You'd
never
been an owner. So it was complete. it was a complete green grass field for you. It was something.
Yeah, I knew I
completely new.
wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be a business owner for a long time. So I think it was about 3 years of planning when I was in my previous recruitment agency that I wanted to do what you did and launch a recruitment business. That was my plan. So being a founder was always on the agenda. Like, that was the plan, you know. But being a founder in recruitment, something that I'd already done for years, would have made logical sense. Was what everyone said I should do. To then flip and launch not even get a job, but just launch a business in a sector you don't know, was ridiculous. That's the words it was. It was ridiculous. And everyone said, Sean, you're making a mistake. My bosses laughed at me when I quit. Not in a really like patronizing way. They were just like, honestly, like, this has got to be a lie. Like, you know, I was their top performer. Like, it's bullshit. But no, so I took the plunge. Being a founder was something I knew I wanted to do. I think I underestimated how hard it would be.
Yeah. Everybody does.
Oh God, yeah. But starting a business with no experience, I don't know if I'd recommend it to anyone. But I think we're in a good place now.
Yeah. So, you know, tell me about the journey, you know, to your current position where you are now.
Well, to give you an idea now, like we've got about 24 staff.
Yeah.
Well, 25 hopefully by the end of the day.
All full time.
Yeah. We work with about 47 recruitment agencies that we manage their brands. Like, so we are the marketing arm, and we're coaching about 3,000 recruiters around the world. So we've got a really strong. So we've got about 250 recruitment agencies we are working with in some capacity all over the world. That's Australia, the US, UK, Ireland, South Africa, you name it. We seem to have a client everywhere at the minute. And my business is built in the classic, you know, you got sales, you got client services, you've got studio, you got operations, etc. But how we got to that point, so I started the business there was me and another founder, and then we had a third founder at the beginning who was my friend from school, who he was only ever going to join us for a couple of years, and he left in 2019. But first few years, you know, we had to quickly learn what we were doing. Like I said, the journey was incredible because you would have started DNA with a track record of recruitment, and just, you know, you got to build, then you got to hire, and then you got to build an infrastructure. Whereas I had to not only build or find customers, deliver on the customers, but learn what the hell we were doing. Yeah. So I was finding mentors, I was joining courses, I was joining clubs. The thing was, I was just really passionate. And I think when you've got that kind of drive for something and you believe in it, I'm living proof you can make something happen. I knew how to sell. I was commercial. So, you know, in the first year or two, we signed a lot of clients. Yeah. I don't think necessarily our service was that good, and we lacked a bit of experience. You
went down the acquisition trail thinking, get them on, and then levels of service. That's exactly the hardest thing, isn't it?
Exactly. You can sign customers, but if you got a hole at the bottom, you drop
the delivery piece is hard.
Yeah. So then what we did is we invested in delivery. At the beginning, we hired a lot of juniors, a lot of graduates. We got a lot of junior talent into the business, and that backfired massively because, again, I guess we kind of went down that route that you get these young bucks that are from Instagram eras and generations, and they can build influencer pages and all this cool stuff. But we didn't give them the structure to operate within. There was no leadership. There was no like channels to grow through. So we had a really big turnover of staff after the first year. And then we really professionalized things in year 2. And we brought in a guy who was from another agency, who was an account director. And that was the biggest moment, I think, that the business sort of smarted up in 2018 when we brought him in. And then around him, we've built the client services function. And then, you know, it's been a really interesting journey because, you know, a lot of the business has come from my own brand. Like back in 2017, I decided to eat my own, you know, words and do this stuff. So I started producing content every day. I started making video content, written content, social content. You know, I launched a podcast in 2019, and my brand grew quite rapidly. I went from like 2,000 to 23,000 connections on LinkedIn. You know, I was getting 500,000 views a month. My podcast grew quite quickly, and I was able to funnel business back through my brand. But then the challenge was then because a lot of people were buying what we did because of the way we did it ourselves.
Yeah.
which you'll know from a lot of agencies, actually, they don't do a lot of marketing for themselves, do they? They do. It's all about for clients. Was we were really good at the front end for ourselves, but then getting our customers to think like me and act like me, and that was a bigger challenge then. So our own success actually caused us some pain, if that makes sense. But once we'd refined the model, we also signed with HubSpot. So we became a HubSpot partner agency.
Yeah.
Which meant that we got a lot of support from HubSpot. We started to, learn the platform. We started hiring people that had HubSpot experience. And we found that was a really good tool that enabled us to, train our teams and ensure that all of our projects could prove results and ROI, which was great. But along that journey, there were so many things that went on, from trying to hire people, losing people, making stupid. The funny thing is, I come from recruitment, and I think my biggest mistakes have been recruitment. Like,
that always happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I think I over-egged that. I'm a recruiter by trade, so I'll be fine. Whereas I've made some shocking decisions.
Yeah, but you've also where traditionally marketing agency owners, they probably don't market themselves enough. It's that adage, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in terms of the challenges you face on a daily basis, let's quickly cover those, because you've got to 25 people. Everybody talks about having growing an agency. Yeah, easy peasy. The clients coming in, but once you start getting to some sort of scale, which you're getting to, that challenges you. So what are these on a day-to-day basis, given where you are now?
Yeah, I think what the interesting thing was in lockdown. So just to go back, when we got to lockdown, when COVID hit, we were in a really strong position, right? We were about 15 people, but we had everything felt like it was on track to grow fast. And then the pandemic just ripped the backside out of us. So I launched a second business really quickly, which you were part of, which was the Academy, which
has been fantastic.
Yeah, and I realized that actually my own knowledge, I could coach recruitment owners to do.
Yeah.
So I launched this program in the middle of the pandemic, which was a training program for recruitment leaders. And that was insane. Like, we had 165 clients last year, and, that went off. And now the Academy is a second business, and it's a coaching program that supports our customers left to right. So my day job now has changed dramatically. And like this time last year, I was mainly in sales still. I was like front office, content marketing, sales. And I was throwing deals over the fence, and, I was helping when needed. Whereas now I kind of sit above. I've got my business partner focuses on sales. I've got an account director who focuses on this client services. I've got a studio manager. I've got an operations manager. I'm just growing the marketing function out. I've got a strategy director, and I've got someone who's coming to help lead the Academy as well. So I feel like for the first time, which a lot of your listeners and guests will probably feel like, I've got a leadership team. Yeah. And so my job has changed from doing a lot of the doing to trying to do things through people. And I don't know about you, Ali. I'm a bit of a control freak. Like, I find it's
the hardest thing.
It's so hard. And, because you could do things better. You can do things faster. And you've got to pull back. You've got to pull back. So my daily job, like literally, I've just got off the phone to two of my team talking about some problems that they've faced. I had a Academy program this morning, so I coached about 65 recruiters in Australia. It's 8:00. After this, I'm on a couple of calls over lunch. Then I've got a gap. Then I'm in workshops. So I'm like the account director, like senior escalation when the clients go wrong. I'm still jumping into some sales pitches. I'm dealing with, trying to make sure everyone's working a certain way. But one of the big things is I'm also trying to stay in the market. So I try and produce content every day. I'm on. Yeah. I host a podcast myself, which I record at the moment twice a week. And I'm trying to stay visible, which I think is really difficult when you've got 25 people sucking your energy every day.
Totally.
It's easier to sit behind the scenes, but that's never going to be me. I'm always going to be, I think, that market-facing CEO.
Yeah.
But I think if I lost that,
no, I think that's the most powerful CEO you can be, right? But you've just got to have everybody's trust in the business, because you're a self-confessed control freak.
Yeah.
as many of us are. So what does success look like in your role? we probably, that's probably a big part is trust. But what does it look like for you?
For me, it is getting people to be better than me at every area. So like trying to get sales people that are better than I was, trying to get marketing people that are better than I am, trying to get account managers that can deal with problems better than I can. I think if it's all about me, the founder, the CEO, the kind of front man, will never grow. Like I really want to grow the business, Ali. I want to, I've got an exit strategy in my mind, and sort of, well, I don't even know the timeline really. It was 5 years, but now I'm just getting rid of the expectation and just saying in the future. But I want to build a business of value. I want to build a business of scale because I want to help a lot of businesses. I want to impact the way recruiters work around the world. I think I can. I think I have, and there's a lot to do there.
I think you've helped massively. Not just. I think you've helped a lot of people from a health and well-being perspective.
Yeah,
enormously, especially from last March on. First lockdown, second lockdown. I found that it was huge for me. Being with other people in the same same sector, having the same challenges, and bettering ourselves. So yeah, it was great. So next question I've got for you: what do you love about your role and your business specifically?
Two questions there, isn't it? What do I love about the role is that I love the variety. I do think the one thing about sales, which I couldn't see myself doing forever, was the repetitive nature of it. Like I think if I just did sales, I know I'd be very good. I was a really high flying recruiter and I could do it. I know I'd be good at it, but I do love the variety. I love waking up and some days I'm on pure client problems and the next day I'm on a sales pitch and the next day I'm hiring and I'm thinking about a new office. I love the variety the most, and I love seeing people get on with things. Like it's great to see people move forward in their career. Like I think, I could probably earn more money now by just being a sales guy, but I definitely I love the team element. I do really enjoy that. What I love the most about the business would be the market. So like working with people like you and I look at recruiters like they are my own. Like it's where I come from. It's my experience. So my clients are really like my old colleagues. Like I look at it like we could have all sat in a desk together years ago. And so working with people that you genuinely get on with and you have loads of commonality and ground with, that's like the dream, isn't it? It's like working with your mates. Like, I'll be honest, when I was in recruitment, insurance market, senior people, there's some wicked people, but some of the more technical roles and things, I felt like I was, I had no common ground with some of these people. And I did my best and I was like, really, do I have to go and spend an hour with him? Now
you're feeling at home with the people you're working with, which is great.
Yeah, and I know it's a sector that people might look down on and say, oh, that's not sexy or whatever, but I fucking love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, cool. So, right, I wanted to move on to sort of the future. I think it's where, key is where you're heading, because that's where everybody wants to know, obviously from your perspective, quite often, you can look at 3, 4, 5, 10 years, but so where do you personally want to be in the next 3 years? Because I think any longer than that is difficult to
totally
pin the tail on the donkey.
Totally agree. 3 years is probably the most, as far as like 3 minutes at the minute, but in 3 years' time, I'd like to see the business in a position where we've got a really, really like established, slick engine. So like we've got every single part of the business is completely humming and it's running independently of me.
Yeah.
So that's probably the one thing. In 3 years' time, 2024, I'd like to be running a business worth, doing at least 5 million plus turnover. But by doing so, with others, like completely ran by others. I'd like to be driving still. I'd like to probably go back to sales at that point and, chip into things. But I just know I really want it to be an engine room of people. So, you're looking at, say, 50 people, 50, 60 people at least, probably bigger than that, but minimum 60 people and totally led by each individual area so that I've empowered people to come on that journey.
How are you empowering those people? Because that's quite important, isn't it?
It's giving people enough of a platform at the beginning to learn from you. Like my strategy lead that came in. I mean, he's been unbelievable. I've had him for like 4 months, and when he first came in, you could see he was itching to learn. And I had to be on every call with him. I had to give him my time. I had to literally download my brain into his. And I can already see now. I'm on a meeting with him, and he says things that I would have said, or he'll say it better, and he'll spot something quicker than I would have spotted it. And I'm like, I can genuinely see myself stepping back from that soon, like completely. And it's got to be, the one thing I've learned is you've got to have a ruthless standard to the people you want. It's like a football team. If you have like a really top performing football team or rugby, and you have one weak player, like it might be 11 men, but one weak player can lose a game and lose a season. You all need to operate at a very similar standard. And I think as businesses, we tend to carry people a lot. He's a nice guy. She's a nice girl. You hold on to some talent for so long, and you have your weekly catch-ups, and they come up time and time again. So for me, it's about making sure we're hiring A players, making sure that, because the only way I can push myself up and do the things I want to do is if I've got really
better people. But also, from that perspective, you talked about earlier about an exit, whatever that looks like. It's always very difficult to work out exactly what that is and who that would be with. But are those individuals, are you looking to engage them in the business, share options, making them part of it, making it tangible? Because obviously, as we all know, it's one of the best ways to really engage individuals that they might not want to go through the squeaky bum time and you seat your pants setting up a business, but they're great people, number twos.
Yeah, I think so. I think we haven't done that yet, but that's part of the roadmap in 2021 is to build out that share. Because you're right. Like the last thing I'd want is to sell a business right off into the sunset of a business partner and everyone else be like, arseholes.
No.
I want to have that
too many times.
Yeah, you need a continuity of people. You need a really core leadership team that everyone buys into and who want to be on that journey. So 100%.
I've got a very good the new online platform for share options that is a market leader. So after this, I'll
bring it my way.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, where you see yourself, where you see your business going, I think we've covered that. Where do you see the industry going? Because obviously you're focused in one sector, which is recruitment, but you are leading in terms of content, social, marketing, and from your perspective, are you always going to stay in one sector, or are you going to move out into others? Because that's what a lot of businesses do for growth.
I think right now the vision is to stay in the recruitment space. I would never say niche. Yeah, I'd say never say never, but I think it's that big. We're not scratching it. We've got 250 customers. There's 38,000 in the UK. Like, the opportunity globally is absolutely massive. So I think it's about really understanding that niche and just becoming the best at it. That's my vision, to be the best at that. I do see, like, if you look at marketing in general and you look at, it's evident in our market, but I do think that marketing and sales are getting closer in the fact that at a desk level, individuals are having such a big impact on company brands now. So previously, that, advertising agencies, it was all about company branding, big billboards, big adverts, TV. Whereas now, like, a guy in his bedroom can have 1 million hits on a Twitch profile or a YouTube channel, or, on LinkedIn. I know people that are, junior recruiters who are getting like 50,000 views a day. And, I think the individual operators in businesses can have such an impact on branding and marketing for their individual company. So as an agency, I think you've got to remember that what's always worked great, but you've got to be looking at how people buy, how people operate today. And for me, I see the industry going at, coaching people to become better at marketing, as opposed to just simply doing it for them.
Yeah. Okay. And so that covers off the sort of future, I think, pretty well. So finally, I just wanted to finish up really with asking you a couple of quick fire questions in terms of just getting your thinking on a couple of areas. So what would your 3 pieces of advice be to the younger generation like yourself when you started out? Because I think you've got the fact is you took a plunge into a world that you had no idea. And some of the best marketeers do that. Some of the best people that I know who run businesses, who are leaders, they were doing an architect degree, and they just left university and decided to become a marketing agency CEO founder. So what would your three pieces of advice be for those types of individuals coming into the market?
All right, great question. So the first one would be, if you're passionate about it, you can succeed, right? So what you don't know can be found out if you've got a passion. If you don't have a passion, then you probably won't go through the brick wall that's required to get to that level. So work out if you genuinely if you're just driven by money. I honestly don't think that's going to get you there. I think you've got to be interested in the topic and the client base or whatever. I loved recruiters. I was so motivated to have an impact on the industry and I felt like I could. I genuinely felt like I could do it even without the knowledge. I was passionate. Second thing would be really, really, take your time with recruitment. Like, I know it's ridiculous. It's what you do. It's what I used to do. But people are so slapdash in the early days of owning a business. Like, you genuinely get a bit flattered that people want to work for you. Like, you're like, hell, they want to work for me. Yeah, cool. And it was almost like at the beginning, I wish I'd have took more time and thought, do I really want this person? Do I want to pay money out of my pocket to this person? Like, it's your business. It's your revenue. You're spending your own cash on this person. And as a result of that, be really, it's a bit like relationships. We jump into relationships really quickly with people, like new girlfriend, new boyfriend, whatever. And then to break up with someone can take years. Like, people you hear these relationships where they've hated each other 15 years, Ali, and they're still together. And it's a bit like a job. Like, we hire people really quick, and then we're so slow to make decisions. Whereas I actually think it should take longer to get into relationships, should take longer to get into jobs. And it should be faster to decide if it's not the right fit. So be more considerate and make quick decisions if it's not working out. And then my final piece of advice is, you're better off doing less things and doing them better. I've made this mistake. I've done way too many things in the last 4 years. We've had loads of dabbles at all different things. And, you become generalist. You're just not great at any one thing. So if you can keep your product set tight, I always think of it like Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. He goes into these restaurants and they have plates of food and, the menu's massive. And he's like, and it's all dross. Like, first thing he does every time is trim the menu down. We do these 5 dishes. We're doing really well. And I think from a marketing perspective, you could do everything. There's always something else to do. There's chatbots, there's SEO, there's programmatic, there's content marketing, there's marketing automation. There's so much budget to do. But also as an entrepreneur, that's really fucking dangerous because they're all shiny lights going, oh, I can make money there. There's always someone who'd buy it off you. But I've learned the hard way that doesn't work. So just be good at one thing or two things. Really tight list of things you do. And I think you'll progress faster that way.
Brilliant. Finally, what 3 resources do you use for self-development, whether it be podcasts, books, publications, whatever else that's out there? I'm just very interested because of your background.
I think I've always followed Gary Vee. I think a bit cliche, but I just think I do think he's the number one in the world in this space. I think he's ahead of everything. And if you're not listening to him regularly, I think you're missing the trick. I also I listened to a podcast of a guy called Alex Hormozi, Hormozi, and he's got a podcast called The Game. And he owns a business called Gym Launch, which is a marketing agency for the fitness space. And he did like 100 million in 4 years. The guy's insane, and his podcast is all about his lessons and failures. I think it's just amazing. So listen to that. And then I think the best book I've read since I started this business was The Compound Effect, which was by a guy called Darren Hardy, which is about small incremental changes having a really huge, long-lasting impact. So, we all look at our businesses and we measure them in the short term. We just smashed it this month. Oh crap, we've had a crap month. We just fired. Everything's very. Whereas if you think about the little things you do daily, if you do the right things daily, it's going to have a bigger impact in 1, 2, 3, 4 years time. And
sort of 2% effect, like Clive Woodward, that type
yeah,
of
exactly like that. Yeah, like if I look at my one thing I've done every day since I started Hoxo is post on LinkedIn every day.
Yeah,
and it's meant that we've got this brand now that reaches millions of people a month. We get lots of leads. We don't do outbound; it's all inbound, and it's come as a result of that one thing. If you look at everything else, it's been that one thing is what I think's made it happen. So. Yeah, great book. Would implore people to listen to it or read it.
Brilliant. Well, listen, I'm going to wrap it up here. I've really enjoyed this. We've been on a journey together. I want to thank you for, personally getting me to where I am now. Your input to me has been huge. So thank you, and have a good day.
No problem. And if anyone does want to reach out, just drop me a note on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to have a conversation offline as well.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Cheers, Sean.
Cheers, Ali.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.